Of the major players in the long road to bring about the Iran nuclear deal and who was credited with having a decisive role in the negotiations with Iran was Baroness Catherine Ashton. She now joins us from South London. Baroness Ashton, you worked on this deal for 4 very long years. How difficult was it?
It was very difficult, John. I began my work in the days of the Ahmadinejad presidency. And we spent 2 years working with his team before President Rouhani came in, and we saw a distinct change of atmosphere. You will recall how clear it was that there was a possibility that they would be interested in doing a real agreement, which is, of course, what we negotiated.
But the really interesting thing is you weren't just the chair, you actually negotiated direct. At one point, I believe the Iranian Foreign Minister, Mr. Zarif, wouldn't negotiate with anybody else. Everybody else left the room and you negotiated.
I did some of the negotiations, but I wouldn't want to take away from the 6 nations who were represented through all of those years, both at ministerial level and at political director level, who did a fantastic job. It is an agreement that belongs to the Security Council, which was the body that gave me the mandate to do the negotiations. And it does belong to the 6 countries who, year after year, worked tirelessly to try and get an agreement.
Well, how do you feel now that it's been scrapped? And indeed, does the President actually have the power just to scrap it if it does reside in the Security Council?
Well, President Trump has decided that America will not continue with the agreement, and so he has the presidential power not to move forward with it, of course. For the other countries, we've heard in the last 24 hours their commitment to continue with the agreement. And as you were describing, there are meetings that are being set up now to discuss how to take that forward. So my ambition would be that this agreement could continue, and we could continue to see this great diplomatic effort bear fruit, because after all, the International Atomic Energy Authority, charged by everyone with the job of independently verifying that Iran was complying with the agreement, have said they were.
You're a human being. You must feel pretty strongly about this tonight.
Well, I feel strongly about it in a couple of different ways. One is, it was 4 years of my life. I spent a huge amount of time working on this agreement. I felt it was really important, not just for its own sake, but also to show that diplomacy could work and to show that we could do tough diplomacy and come to some serious conclusions. But I also feel that it's important, in having brought together different nations who frankly don't traditionally work together. We don't do many things where we work with Russia and China so comprehensively as we did with the US and with the European nations. And to do so in an effort that was, in a way, worldwide to try and solve a problem. And it feels to me like we need more diplomacy, not less.
Well, talking of that, the President of the United States is crowing about his hardball diplomacy in North Korea, freeing 3 Americans and possibly leading ultimately to something there. Could hardball diplomacy work with Iran?
Well, the challenge is really that some of the arguments used against this agreement have been about other issues where there are genuine and real concerns about what Iran is doing, especially in the region. I have talked many times with colleagues in the Gulf states and, of course, in Israel, who've got real concerns and worries. The difficulty I have is understanding why you would stop working with a deal that is working and not focus on those other issues, but rather return to an agreement and try and do something different. I just don't understand that, rather than actually focusing and concentrating on those issues.
Baroness Ashton, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you.